Flames were already tearing through the ridge when Cal Walker ran outside. The fire moved fast, wind howling through dry grass, embers spinning like sparks from a forge. Heat hit him full in the face. His fence was gone. The barn was burning. The road back to town was a wall of fire. He grabbed the flannel jacket from the porch rail, the one marked with faint claw scars, and pulled it tight. His lungs ached, heart stuttering unevenly in his chest. He turned toward the truck. The ignition clicked once. Twice. Nothing. Smoke poured over the hood, swallowing the headlights. The flames roared closer, alive and endless. Trap. He staggered backward, the world glowing orange around him, until, through the roar and thunder, another sound broke through. Low, deep, rolling across the valley like the memory of thunder. A lion's call. Cal wasn't supposed to be here still. The refuge had closed months ago. Funding gone, fences rusting in the heat. But he'd stayed. He told himself he was watching over what was left. The empty pens, the dry water tanks. But maybe he just couldn't leave. His wife was gone. The animals were gone. He'd outlived every reason to move. He still wore the same flannel from the winter he'd rescued a lion cub from a wreck on Highway 89. The claw marks never faded, and neither did the memory. He looked toward the ridge where the fire burned brightest. The air shimmered gold, the heat carrying the low hum of thunder. Not tonight, he whispered, gripping the jacket tighter. The wind shifted. Ash fell like snow. And in that silence between gusts, he heard it again. That same low rumble, closer this time. 5 years earlier, a transport truck had crashed on the highway north of town. Cal was the first to find it, a black shape against the guardrail, headlights still burning. He climbed the twisted frame, boots slipping on wet metal. Diesel hung heavy in the rain. He forced the trailer door open. The flashlight cut through the dark. Cages, chains, eyes glinting in the shadows. One cage had collapsed. Inside, a lion cub, small, starved, tangled in wire. It whimpered, breath shallow. "Easy, boy," Cal whispered. He reached in, cutting the wire strand by strand. Each snap made the cub flinch, but it didn't fight. When the last coil fell away, it slumped forward. Cal lifted it, surprised by the warmth against his chest. He wrapped it in his flannel jacket. The drive back was slow, rain hammering the windshield. Every few miles, Cal reached over to see if it still breathed. By the time he reached the refuge, the roads were closed. The vet wouldn't come till morning. Cal built a fire, set the cub near it, and fed it milk drop by drop. Outside, the storm howled. Inside, only soft breathing. At dawn, the cub stirred and blinked. It gripped his sleeve with tiny claws, holding on like it understood. Cal smiled. "You're a fighter." That's how the lion got his name, Leo. Months later, when Leo grew too strong for the cabin, Cal drove him to the refuge. He watched from the fence as the young lion hesitated, then disappeared into the tall grass. Cal stayed long after the sound of paws had faded, proud and quietly broken. Now the ridge burned like a furnace. Cal coughed, stumbling across the yard. Sparks rained down, hissing on his sleeves. He reached the porch steps and froze. Through the smoke, a shape moved, broad shoulders, heavy mane, eyes glinting gold. "Leo?" he rasped. The lion stood in the glow, chest rising slowly, mane streaked with ash, a scar across his shoulder. He didn't growl. He stepped forward, tail low, a soft chuff rolling from his throat, the same sound the cub once made by the fire. Cal's breath caught. "It's you." Flames roared behind him. A tree split, sparks scattering like rain. Leo turned toward the old service road, the only path not burning. He looked back, gave a sharp growl, urging, "You want me to follow?" The lion moved first, vanishing into smoke. Cal followed, clutching his flannel like a lifeline. Heat pressed down like a weight. Every breath scraped his lungs. When he faltered, Leo circled back, brushed his leg, pressed his head into Cal's shoulder, guiding him on. "All right, boy," Cal gasped. "I'm coming." They moved together through the inferno, man and lion, weaving between burning trees and falling limbs. Each crack split the night like gunfire. The roar of fire drowned everything, yet beneath it, Cal heard the low rumble beside him, steady and alive. His vision blurred. His chest burned. Every time he slowed, Leo was there, solid, unyielding, eyes fixed ahead. At last, they reached the dry creek, a pocket of untouched ground. Cal collapsed by the bank, coughing hard. The lion stood watch at the edge, mane glowing red in the light. He lifted his head and roared, one long call that rolled through the canyon and silenced the flames. Then he turned, looked once at Cal, and vanished into the smoke. Dawn came gray and heavy. Smoke drifted through the valley, and the world hushed and still. Cal woke to voices, distant then closer. Boots crunched through ash. "Over here," someone shouted. He blinked through the haze. Figures in yellow suits moved around him, ghost-like in the smoke. They found him beside the creek, half buried in soot, one hand clutching his jacket. "Easy," a firefighter said, kneeling beside him. "You're lucky." The fire stopped right here. Cal tried to speak, his throat raw. "The lion." The firefighter frowned. "What lion?" Cal lifted a shaking hand, pointing toward the ridge. Pressed into the blackened earth were paw prints, large, deliberate, circling where he'd lain. The crew followed them a few steps before they vanished in the ash. "No animal could have lived through that," one muttered. Cal said nothing. He just stared at the prints, breath-catching. He pulled the flannel tighter across his chest, fingers tracing the old claw marks. And the new. The air smelled of wet soot and pine. The sun broke through, turning the smoke to gold. Later, in the medic tent, someone mentioned the lion missing from the refuge. "If it was him," a ranger said quietly, "he didn't make it back." Cal turned from the noise, eyes on the horizon. His voice cracked. "He saved me," he whispered. After all these years. He remembered. Something broke inside him. Not fear, not grief, something older. He pressed a hand to his heart and wept, soft and wordless. It wasn't the fire that undid him. It was knowing the wild had walked through flame to find him again. 3 days later, the fires were out. Ash drifted through the air like snow. Cal stood at the edge of the ridge, the landscape black and silent. He wore the same flannel jacket, stiff with soot, with holes at the seams. He knelt where the paw prints ended. The earth was cold beneath his hand. "I guess you didn't come for help," he said softly. "You came to make sure I wasn't alone." The wind stirred through the canyon. For a moment, he thought he heard it again, that deep, rolling sound rising through the smoke. A lion's call. He closed his eyes, smiling through the ache. 5 years ago, Cal saved a lion's life. Last week, that lion walked through fire to return the favor. You can save an animal once. But when it comes back to find you, it's not a rescue anymore. It's gratitude.